up, everybody? I'm Nicole.
I'm Jabril.
And we are
Original Films.
You're tuned in to the NaDEJ Internet Radio Show.
Let me tell you something. This girl's a star. I hope you're listening.
We know because we directed her. Okay?
You got your ears open?
So it's a blessing that you're getting to know her.
Okay.
We know her before the Oscar.
Okay.
You're getting to know her
Okay.
now. Do not miss any episodes of the NaDEJ Internet Radio Show. It is the future.
I mean, this girl is big.
Super big. Colossal.
Alright.
Original Films. Future in
Focus.
Hello, my name is Linda Gale, fashion designer of Atlanta, Georgia. You are now watching the NaDEJ Internet Radio Show. You don't want to miss it. She is fabulous.
This is Sai Sayonara, and you are tuning in into my BFF, NaDEJ Internet Radio Show.
We here at Piedmont Park, man. Original movie parody scene right here, Black History Month. And I want to make sure that y'all tune into NaDEJ's Internet Radio Show. I'm Ghost Cam 7, baby. Let's go!
Who you think is shy? But when I step up on the stage, I come alive. My voice is captivating. I'm amazing. It's good to glam, to be famous. I want it all. Respect my talent, respect my shine. I'm not worried about that.
Welcome to the NaDEJ Internet Radio Show on the BJG Media Productions Radio Network. There was a man who believed we were all equal in our hearts. And because of his great life, America has come so far. He spoke about equality, hope, and love. His way of thinking was simply unheard of. He marched for everyone's civil rights. And because he was nonviolent, he would not fight. He even won a Nobel Peace Prize, which makes him extra special in our eyes. He stood up for the rights of all the people in the world, no matter if you were white, black, boy, or a girl. He dreamed that people of every color could hold hands and play, so today we may celebrate his birthday.
In a little tent, oh, and just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Then I go to my brother. another. And I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. And oh, there've been times that I thought I could last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it will.
Today my guest has dedicated his life to human rights and civil liberties. It is a pleasure to introduce my congressman, Mr. John Lewis. Welcome to the NaDEJ Internet Radio Show. How are you doing today, Congressman Lewis?
I'm doing very well today. Doing very well. I'm very pleased and delighted to be on your show.
Thank you. I have learned a lot about civil rights in school, and I've heard many great things about you. How did your journey begin?
Well, my journey started many, many years ago. I grew up in rural Alabama, about 50 miles from Montgomery. And when I was a little boy, only about 5 or 6 years old, I saw those signs that said white men, colored men, white women, white waiting, colored waiting. And I didn't like it. And when we would go downtown to the theater to see a movie, all of us little black children had to go upstairs to the balcony, and all the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. I stopped going to movies because of that. I knew something was wrong. And later on, when I was 15 years old, I heard about Rosa Parks. I heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. also on the radio. The action of Rosa Parks. The words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired me. I wanted to meet Rosa Parks. I wanted to meet Martin Luther King Jr. And when I became 17 years old, I met Rosa Parks. And then next year, at the age of 18, I met Martin Luther King Jr. and I got involved in the civil rights movement.
Wow. So today you are known as one of the most courageous people in civil rights. How did you rebuild your courage after being badly beaten several times?
As a participant in the civil rights movement, we were taught the way of peace, the way of love, the way of nonviolence. I grew to the point of not being afraid. Not being afraid when someone would be beating me, or when someone would put a lighted cigarette out in my hair, or down my back. I pour hot water, hot coffee on me. When someone would arrest me and throw me in jail, I said, I'm not going to be afraid. On one occasion, I thought I was going to die. I thought I saw death. But standing up and fighting for civil rights was worth dying for. I didn't want to see people of color or any people continuing to live in segregation and racial discrimination. Been told, you cannot go there, you cannot go here, you cannot sit here, you cannot sit there. We had to bring about some changes, and I wanted to be part of that effort to bring about those changes.
That's great. You're one of the most courageous people, and I'm happy you're in our lives.
Well, thank you so much. It is an honor to be with you.
Thank you.
You're very good, and you're very beautiful.
Thank you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this public service announcement.
Every year, millions of children witness domestic violence in the U.S.
You may not notice this, but I hear you.
40% of teenage girls know a friend their age who was beaten by a boyfriend.
You may not realize this, but I see you.
Witnessing domestic violence is a powerful risk factor for committing violent behavior in the future.
Tú no aceptarías esto, pero yo me convierto en esto.
Abuse is not a family trait, but it can be a generational curse. If you see it, report it. If you suspect it, don't ignore it. And if you experience it, get help. The toll-free number to call is 1-800-621-HOPE. This important message was brought to you by these organizations. Remember, peace begins at home.
I've heard a lot about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the civil rights movements. What was he like as a person?
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a wonderful man. He was just wonderful. He could speak, and when he finished speaking, you really believed in him. You believed what he was saying. He could inspire you, but he could tell jokes. He would make you laugh until you would cry. It would be so funny. On one occasion, we were someplace in Alabama or Mississippi, one of the southern states, and on our way to a meeting, and he saw some little restaurant, some little hole in the wall, and he said, we should stop and get something to eat. If we get arrested and go to jail, we would go to jail on a full stomach. And another occasion, he would just tell stories about people and mock people, but all in fun. He was just a beautiful human being. He lost children. He was so pleased and so proud when the young people started sitting in at segregated lunch counters, when we went on the freedom rides and standing in at segregated theaters, when we marched on Washington and he gave us I Have a Dream speech. He was so happy that everything went so well. But he would swim, he would play softball, he would be just joking around. You know, he was a very young man when he got started. He would play with us, he would have pillow fights. He was just a nice, good human being. On one occasion he asked me, he said, John, do you still preach? Can you sing? And I said, yes, Dr. King, when I'm taking a shower. And he thought that was the funniest thing.
How does it feel to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom from the President Barack Obama?
When I received the Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama, I was moved to tears. I tried to do everything possible to keep from crying when he placed the medal around my neck. I said, thank you, Mr. President. And that's all I could say. But to be honored by the President of the United States, it is a great honor. And out of the 435 members of the House and the 100 members of the United States Senate today, I'm the only serving member that have received the Medal of Freedom. So I feel more than lucky. I feel very blessed.
What message do you have for the youth on the importance of education?
My message for the youth, for young people, is to go to school, stay in school. Listen to your teachers, obey your teachers, obey your parents, and get the best possible education you can get. When I was very young, I had a teacher who told me over and over again, when I was only in about the 3rd or 4th grade, this teacher said, read, my child, read, my child. And I tried to read everything. We had very few books in our home. We were too poor to have a subscription to the local newspaper, but my grandfather had one. And when he would finish reading his newspaper each day, we would get his newspaper and read that newspaper, read magazines, read everything to keep up with what was going on around us, in the state of Alabama, in the South, around America, and around the world.
Wow. Let's talk about your children's book, John Lewis in the Lead. What inspired you to write a children's book?
What inspired me to write a children's book? Well, there were people who said that you need to tell your story in the language of children. And a couple came along and said they would do the writing. All I have to do is just talk to them. And I did it. And then an artist, a famous African-American artist by the name of Benny Andrews, did the illustration for the book. He was born in Georgia, served in the Navy, and he came back, went to art school, and became a great artist. And his paintings, his drawings, are in almost every major museum in America. He is at least he was a talented man. I got to know him. He died at the age of 80. I loved his work. He loved me. I loved his family. He loved my family. The children's book is a story. It talks about when I was a little boy, I wanted to be a preacher. And it was my responsibility to raise chickens, to care for the chickens. But from time to time, I would gather all of our chickens together in the chicken yard. And my brothers and sisters and first cousins were lined outside of the chicken yard. And the chickens, along with my sisters and brothers and cousins, would become the audience, the congregation, and I would start speaking or preaching. And some of the chickens would bow their heads, some of the chickens would shake their heads. And I said today, these chickens never quite said amen, but they tended to listen to me much better than some of my colleagues and friends in the Congress. And some of the chicken was just a little more productive. At least they produce eggs.
Your book states that at the age of 5, you were responsible for about 80 animals on a farm. Were you ever afraid? 60 animals actually.
Well, I was not afraid. I was not afraid of the chickens, the pigs, the cows, the goats. I was not afraid of them. The only thing that I was afraid of growing up on this farm was snakes. I didn't like snakes. For some reason, I hated snakes. On one occasion, we had a hen that had a nest where she would lay the eggs under the house. And you could pull up a board and reach down and get the eggs out. And my father told me to go and get some fresh eggs from this nest. And I reached down, there was a snake in the nest. And I was so frightened when I felt that snake. And I hated snakes ever since then. I just think that they're not to be played with. They're dangerous.
I purchased your book at a store in Atlanta. Where can the audience purchase a copy of your children's book?
Well, the audience could get a copy of my children's book, John Lewis in the Lead, at almost any bookstore. If it's not in the bookstore, they can order it from the bookstore, and they will get the book for them. I don't want to call the name of any particular store, but they will be able to get it located.
Well, Congressman Lewis, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to meet you. Your courage has made a difference in our lives, and keep up the good work, and God bless you.
Thank you. May God bless you. Thank you so much. A pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you so much.
More behind the scenes with Congressman Lewis when we return.
I dream rainbows of freedom that all can see. I dream of refound innocence. Let us protect and nurture it. The future of our children, so permanent. The mark of our heart. We bear the brave, only tears run down. Pretty face, still we, unafraid. Laughter is a fragile flower. Youth is potential power. Let us not be ashamed to smile. I dream of pleasant things. A little black girl that sings, that believes in her dreams. No burdens attached to her wings. Believes she can do anything. She can be anything. She will seek only to find beauty in her own eyes, realize and redefine, no longer have to hide. She will grow with full knowledge of her worth. She will play more than she works, finding heaven on this earth. I dream she is free. I dream she is me. I dream.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes.
What were you saying in the speech?
This is on August the 28th, 1963, at the March on Washington. When Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. And in the speech I said something like, we march today for jobs and freedom. Many of our brothers and sisters cannot be here. They don't have any money to pay for that transportation to Washington or something like that. Then I went on to talk about voting. See, in many parts of the South, back in 1963, when I was speaking, many black people could not register to vote. They were told they could not read or write well enough. They had to pass what we call a literacy test. On one occasion, a man was asked to count the number of bubbles on a bar of soap, count the number of jelly beans in a jar. And then I went on to say something like, one man, one vote is the African cry. It is ours too. It must be ours. We're saying in effect that we all must be able to register to vote. And then in another line in the speech I said, they tell us to wait. They tell us to be patient. We cannot wait. We cannot be patient. We want our freedom and we want it now. But you see on that photograph, I was very young. I had all of my hair and I was a few pounds lighter. And I was ready to stand up and push. So that's me getting arrested there when I was 24. But by that time I've been arrested several times. This is the march from Selma to Montgomery on what we call Bloody Sunday. See here. See, that's me there. And this is Jose Williams.
Wow.
Coming across the bridge in Selma. And here, another photograph here of me being beaten at the foot of the bridge. That's recognize Martin Luther King Jr. He was one of the, James Farmer, he was head of another civil rights group. Roy Wilkins, head of the NAACP. Just Dr. Farmer, Mr. Farmer, were head of CORE. This man, A. Philip Randolph, he organized something called the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. All of the black men working on the trains, on the railroad. Whitney Young, who was head of the National Urban League. He was one of the leaders of the March on Washington. And this is young John Lewis right here. And out of the people that spoke that day, 10 of us spoke, in addition to the 6. There were 4 major white religious and labor leaders. But out of the 10 of us that spoke, I'm the only one still around. Dr. King spoke number 10. I spoke number 6. But this was the first meeting to plan the march. And 2 years from now, we will celebrate the 5th anniversary of the March on Washington.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creeds. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together.
His way of thinking was simply unheard of. He marched for everyone's civil rights, and because he was nonviolent, he would not fight. He even won a Nobel Peace Prize, which makes him extra special in our eyes. And that's all I can remember.
Well, that's good. That's very good. That's very good.
Your love, oh Lord, reaches to the heavens. Your faithfulness stretches to the skies. And your righteousness is like the mighty mountain. Yeah, and your justice flows like the ocean's tides. And I will lift my voice to worship you, my King. And I will.
Thank you for tuning in to the NaDEJ Internet Radio Show. Until next time, be safe and God bless. Bye.